Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations, and I think this is the last in the bit of glue hanging out there. I think this is the last in the scarf series for now, because I still have a big bag. I mean, look at the big bag of scarves. But I dipped into it and I kind of pulled these three in this last little piece from previous project. And I'm gonna cut these in strips again, just rough strips. So I'm just gonna use my scissors for this. It doesn't have to be perfect. But I ordered some piping cord, 15 yards, I think. This is 9.5 millimeter. I think I ordered bigger than that, but this is what they sent me, so I'm not going to argue. It's just making my life tougher. We're not going to use the sewing machine because I don't know how big 5 yards is going to take me, but if it takes me big, I'm not going to be able to fit all that into the sewing machine. So I want to start this with a process that's going to work. So I'm going to look for some cording in a color that would work for this. And I'm going to see what I have. I might go contrasting. I don't know. We'll see what colors I have and go from there. And then I'm going to pull you overhead. So I'm going to cut some strips of this. I'm not going to cut them all yet because I don't know how much I need. And I don't know if this is going to work, but I'll be able to figure that out early in the process. So if it's working, I can cut as I need. Each long strip is going to work well. Like this, I think is going to be 2 strips. And the others are much longer than this one. I mean, technically this could probably be 3 strips, but I'll just do 2 because it's a wrinkly fabric. And then I'll cut off some strips of these, at least one of each to get started. And then we'll kind of rotate our way through them and you'll see where I'm going. I don't know how big this is gonna be. So we're gonna have to wait and see. All right, so let me cut strips, find some cord, and then I'll be back. All right, to start, I'm just gonna take one of my fabrics and I'm going to wrap it around the end, just so that it's nice and tight. Ultimately, we're going to be wrapping the rest of this down and around. To anchor this, let me just tuck my ends away. To anchor this, I have a single thread of, this is a 20-pound hemp cord, waxed hemp cord. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take my end, hold it down there, and whoops, hold it down there, Cindy. And I'm just going to wrap this nice and tight around here a couple of times. And then I'll just take I have this on a big fat upholstery needle because I'm not really sewing through the fabric. And I'm just going to take this back down through to anchor this. There we go. All right. So that end is on there nice and tight. I can cut off this little end so that I don't have to worry about it. And then now we're going to take our fabric and we're going to wrap it around. So you can have this fairly open, you can have it fairly, doubled over if you need to, if it's particularly thin. And again, because we're working with scarves. But what we're looking at doing then is ultimately rolling this back like a snail on itself. And then sorry, itchy nose. We are going to start tying this together. So we'll come down through here. We've gone around one side, and now I'm going to come down through the middle. Oh my goodness. Get off my scissors. Down through the middle, and then up around the other side. So it's kind of like we're doing big figure eights here. What this does is it starts to hold all of our fabric together, and it is tying all of our pieces together. So we want to be pulling it fairly tight as we go. Both our fabric and that cording. It's always tougher in the beginning with anything. Once you get a bunch of turns on this one, it'll be much, much easier to be able to manage, and you're not having to hold that center piece in place. So that will make it much easier as well. But there we go. So now I can take this, because I'm coming up through the middle. I can come down through the side, back around through that middle. I can come up another section, right? Down through, wrap around again. Up through that little middle section again. So we're constantly anchoring these sections in place. We're just coiling it all together. Kind of like a hand-sewn coiled basket, but we're going to try and keep it nice and flat. When it's time to add another piece of fabric to this, and really, I mean, I'm doing this with scarves. You can do it with any kind of fabric, old t-shirts, old shirts, I mean, whatever you got going. We're just going to tuck the piece in, right underneath the piece, wrap that other piece around as this new piece then just continues the wrap. So that way, it's just like one long continuous strand. We don't have to worry about anything. It's all tucked, and we just continue to sew the pieces in, just doing a quick around the outside, take it down through the row before it, and just continue sewing it in. For this project, I thought 15 yards sounded like a lot. I thought that meant I would make a rug. Now, 15 yards of a fatter cord, so this was 9.5 millimeters, which was a size 4 cotton piping. If I had done an even bigger piping, it would be obviously fatter in terms of finish, but then it also would have been larger. I could, so let me show you the finished piece, which is so cool, right? It's pretty neat. And again, what I got into was very slow at the beginning, starting this. I started tight because I wanted a circle, but ultimately all that I was doing was coming up through that second layer. If this was my new loose one, coming down, coming back over and down, and then coming back up through the second, down over. So all of these end up being attached twice, because as much as I've added this row on, when I go and add a second row, next row around it, it gets attached to that one. And I did periodically, you know, I was going through some of the fabric, some of the cotton, so it really is bound quite well. Now, obviously, you could focus on turning this up if you ultimately wanted to do a bowl. I did this, I could have done this on the sewing machine and done a zigzag stitch in between all the way around, which would have made my life a lot faster, but I envisioned this being bigger. So here's the thing though. I could order, because I have lots of the scarf material left, I could order another one of these and ultimately go out larger, right? It's not going to be double this. I'm trying to think how big this ended up being. I didn't measure. So 12 inches to there, 15 and a half inches. So, you know, if we added more on, because it's got more circumference to go around, you're not necessarily going to get it this thick, but you'd get, I think, one more of these, and this would be a good throw rug, you know, under the kitchen sink or in front of, you know, wherever where you need a small throw rug. So I could order more and I could add to it. I could use this as well, you know what, kind of a large placemat. I could have stopped sooner if I wanted it as a placemat, but I wanted to see how far this would go, and I thought that would be more useful to you guys as well. But the technique of this is cool. If you want something that's more oblong, you know, when I started this, I started turning it in a circle. If you wanted it to be more oval shape, then take maybe 3-4 inches of the length and then double back on itself. So you're starting right from the beginning with the shape that you want ultimately. So you have to have that in mind right from the beginning. This was super cool. I as much as I hate hand sewing, this didn't feel like hand sewing, to tell you the truth. And it went really quite fast. It was fairly addictive. I kept thinking, just one more turn and then I'll take a break, and I kept going. So doing this in front of a movie or something like that, awesome way to be able to get this finished. Let me know what you think of this one, guys. Great use of old scarves, but I think it would also be super special if you had, you know, old t-shirts of your kids, or you know, your husbands or grandpas, or, you know, something, their old flannel shirts and things. You could make a special rug or basket or something out of those items that would have, you know, more meaning. I mean, this is my sister's old scarves. I'm not really emotionally attached to her scarves. I'm a little emotionally attached to this item right now, though, since I hand sewed. It's kind of a little more special because of that. Let me know what you think. As always, love to hear from you, and looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.